she fainted. During the divorce and awoke to an amazing surprise, 9 months pregnant. Ex shocked. The sound of voices echoed through the conference room, a cacophony of raw emotions and bitter accusations. Sarah felt as if the air had been sucked from her lungs. It was supposed to be mediation, a chance to salvage what remained of her marriage to Jake, the man she once loved so fiercely. Instead, it felt like a funeral for their dreams. Thoughts of her 5-year-old son, Tommy, played in her mind, a bright star in a darkening sky. She was fiercely determined to shield him from this devastation. But the tidal wave of hurt was too overwhelming. Sarah staggered, her heart racing as she processed the sharp words hurled like daggers. One moment she was standing, and the next, the world faded into darkness. She collapsed, her body crumpling onto the cold floor like a marionette with its strings cut. In that moment of chaos, everything went silent. Whispers of shock rippled through the room, eyes wide with disbelief. When she opened her eyes, the sterile smell of the hospital flooded her senses, and the bright lights caught her off guard. Panic washed over her, but then she saw the doctor hovering above. His words sliced through her confusion. "You're 9 months pregnant." Time stood still. Sarah's heart plummeted. 9 months? How could this be? She felt the dreams of their family fizzle like a blown-out candle, leaving behind nothing but despair. How could she explain this to Tommy? How could she navigate this fresh mess along with the weight of societal judgment? In the days that followed, echoes of Jake's voice filled her thoughts. Memories of their laughter and love danced in her mind, now mingled with the sharpness of betrayal. Would he come back? Or was this the final nail in the coffin? She wrestled with waves of anger and betrayal, as well as a nagging flicker of hope. Spiraling feelings thrummed within her. Fear of being a single mother again, exhaustion from struggling with expectations, and the constant hum of whispers from their close-knit neighborhood. But something deep inside that flame of determination roared louder. She would find a way to manage, for herself and for Tommy. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Unexpectedly, Jake reached out, his voice softer on the phone than she'd heard in a long time. Guilt swirled around him like a cloud, causing her heart to skip. Their late-night conversations became a sanctuary, a tentative bridge reconnecting them amid the emotional rubble. As he opened up about his struggles, she felt a thread of healing knit between them, trembling yet brave. Can we really move past this? She wondered. With time, they began to explore the possibility of co-parenting. Each tentative step was filled with tension and lingering pain, but it seemed like maybe, just maybe, they could create something new. But a dark shadow loomed, an unresolved past taunting their fragile connection. Just then, the phone rang. Sarah's heart dropped at the unfamiliar number, the weight of uncertainty heavy in the room. Could this push them closer to unity, or shatter the fragile bond they were starting to form? The potential for hope hung in the air, but the uncertainty unsettled her. Was this miracle merely the beginning of another struggle? Sarah stared at the phone, each ring echoing louder than the last. Heart pounding, she hesitated, the weight of what lay beyond that call gripping her throat. It could be a bill collector, an inquiry about something she simply couldn't afford right now. Or maybe, just maybe, it was something that would either bring hope or shatter everything she had worked to rebuild. With a shaky breath, she answered. "Hello?" Her voice wavered, revealing the anxiety gnawing at her insides. "Is this Sarah?" The voice on the other end was calm, almost too calm. It sent a chill down her spine. "Yes, it is," she replied, her mind racing. "Hi, this is Dr. Miller from Riverside Hospital. I'm calling regarding your recent visit. We need to talk." Her stomach twisted as dread pooled inside. "What about?" "There's something significant regarding your test results." The word significant loomed in the air like a dark cloud. Every ounce of her body tensed, waiting for the hammer to drop. What more could possibly go wrong? "Can you come in?" he urged gently. She could hear the concern threaded through his tone. It was the "please don't make me say it over the phone" kind of voice. A lump formed in her throat. Yes, of course. After hanging up, the world felt a shade grayer. The phone felt heavier in her hand. Why couldn't she shake the feeling that they were about to unearth more truths she wasn't prepared for? She had already been thrown into a tempest. Was she really ready for more storms? Tommy wandered into the room, his curious eyes searching her face. "Mommy? Are you okay? You look like you saw a ghost." Sarah knelt down to his level, forcing a smile that felt like stretching rubber. "Just a little tired, sweet pea," she said, ruffling his hair. "How about we read that dinosaur book you love?" His face lit up, that innocent joy breaking through the fog in her mind. She followed him to the couch, but the worry gnawed at her. With each turn of the page, she struggled to focus. All she could think of was the uncertainty ahead. As Tommy giggled at the roaring Tyrannosaurus, her phone buzzed again, breaking the moment. It was Jake. Her breath hitched. Would it be a heartfelt reassurance, or another reminder of everything that had gone wrong? "Hey," she answered tentatively, trying to gauge his mood. "Hi, Sarah. I just wanted to check on you. About everything. I know it's been rough." She leaned back against the couch, eyes briefly closing as a wave of fatigue washed over her. "I'm okay, I guess. Just have a doctor appointment I have to attend." His silence spoke volumes. She could almost hear the gears turning in his mind. Would he connect the dots? "Is everything all right?" he finally asked, the concern evident in his voice. I don't know yet." They exchanged hesitations, the emotions swirling between them a mix of hope and despair. What if this was a chance to find common ground, to finally face their problems together? "Maybe I can come with you," Jake suggested, a hint of vulnerability piercing through the atmosphere. The offer stunned her. Could they really take that step? Was she ready for the man who had walked out on her to be by her side again? Before she could answer, Tommy interrupted, tugging at her shirt. "Can we bake cookies, Mommy? The dinosaur wants cookies." A giggle escaped her lips, the innocence capturing something in her heart that felt hopeful. "Sure, buddy. Let's bake cookies." But deep down, she knew the real cookies, those of choices and resolutions, were still waiting to be baked. As they began to whisk eggs and flour, Sarah felt the weight of the upcoming appointment pulse heavily in her mind. The phone call and Jake's invitation hung around her like smoke after a fire, simmering with potential change. What secrets would the doctor reveal, and how would they shift the fragile fabric of her family? In the fragile sanctuary of their kitchen, a new storm brewed, one she could not ignore. Would it revitalize their relationship? Or would the past crush her anew? The kitchen filled with the sweet scent of baking cookies, but Sarah couldn't quite enjoy it. The dough felt heavy in her hands, clumping together like her thoughts. Tommy danced around her, his laughter echoing off the walls, a bright contrast to the storm brewing inside her. Each laugh was a reminder of everything she wanted to protect, everything she had fought so hard for. "Mommy, look! A T-Rex cookie!" Tommy chirped, holding up his dinosaur-shaped creation. His innocent eyes sparkled with delight, yet Sarah's heart felt like a lead weight. "That looks amazing, buddy," she called out, forcing a smile that faded as soon as she turned back to the mixing bowl. She was teetering on the edge of something she couldn't quite grasp. Her thoughts drifted to Jake's voice on the phone. His offer to go to the appointment with her wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Yet it was the kind of warmth that brought a chill, too. Could they really step back into each other's lives after everything that had happened? Would his presence bring comfort or confusion? Tommy's little hands pressed against her arm, jolting her from her spiraling thoughts. "Do you think the cookies will scare the dinosaur away?" he asked, his brow furrowed with sincerity. "Maybe." She laughed softly, scooping the cookie dough onto the baking sheet. "But I think dinosaurs like cookies, don't you?" His face lit up again, momentarily washing away the gloom that blanketed her. "Yeah. Can I eat one before dinner?" "Of course. Just one." As the cookies baked, Sarah's mind raced. The clock ticked loudly on the wall, each second pulling her closer to the appointment that felt like a looming shadow. It was odd, this strange combination of dread and hope. What if the doctor had good news? What if things could change for the better? She found herself questioning everything. Would Jake's presence change the dynamics? Would it lead to healing or simply reopen old wounds? A sudden crash jolted her from her thoughts. Tommy had knocked over a mixing bowl, flour exploding like a small eruption around them. "Oh!" he exclaimed, his eyes wide with surprise. Sarah couldn't help but laugh. There, amidst the chaos and flour clouds, she felt a flicker of something. Joy, perhaps, or just the brief escape from reality. "That's okay, buddy. Let's clean it up and get back to baking." They worked together, the kitchen a flurry of laughter and flour fights. Somehow, the simple act of cleaning pushed the weight of impending dread a little further away. For that moment, it was just her and Tommy, lost in their own world. Once the cookies were out of the oven, their golden edges promising a sweet reward, Sarah felt an unfamiliar sense of clarity wash over her. It was time to confront the truth. She couldn't keep running from it. She needed to face the doctor, face the past, face Jake. A series of phone notifications broke the fleeting sense of peace. It was another message from Jake. He was asking if she had made up her mind about him coming along. She stared at the screen, her heart racing. The question hung there, heavy and profound. Did she want him by her side? Tommy tugged at her shirt again, cookie in hand, eyes sparkling. "Mommy, can we call Daddy now? I want to share the cookies with him." The question pierced through her, settling deep in the pit of her stomach. Was she ready to reconnect? Did she want to share this part of her life with Jake once more? With a deep breath, she reached for her phone. But as she glanced at Tommy, his innocent enthusiasm igniting her spirit, she wondered if she was ready for what came next. Each decision felt monumental, like standing at a crossroads with no clear path. Was she ready to invite Jake back into their lives? The phone buzzed again, snapping her from her reverie. But this time, it was a text from Dr. Miller, scheduled for their meeting. The details were all there, waiting for her to absorb. The revelation that could change everything. She steadied herself, feeling the weight of urgency in her chest. Could this be the turning point for them? The chance to rebuild, to start afresh? As she looked into Tommy's expectant eyes, another thought tugged at her heartstrings. What if the news wasn't just about her health? What if it encompassed far more than she had prepared for? Taking a deep breath, she hit reply, heart racing once more. There was no turning back now. The minutes slipped away like the last crumbs of a cookie, and anxiety tightened its grip around Sarah's chest. The timer buzzed, yanking her from her thoughts again. The cookies were ready, golden and warm on the cooling rack, but they didn't hold her attention. Tommy danced around her, waving his little arms, still high on the thrill of sugary treats and baking chaos. "Mom, can I have another?" he pleaded, bouncing on his toes. "Just one more," she relented, unable to resist his charm. As he munched away, His pure joy reminded her of why she fought so hard to hold their family together through the storm. But the weight of her decisions loomed large. She looked down at her phone, the blinking notifications persistent and unyielding. Jake, always there, yet so far away. What would it mean to see him again? The thought was both intoxicating and terrifying. "Can we go to the park after cookies?" Tommy's voice broke through her reverie, hopeful and filled with a child's simplicity. The idea of stepping outside, of humor and laughter spilling over onto slides and swings, was enticing. She nodded, pushing her worries aside for a moment. "Absolutely. Just let me finish cleaning up." As she wiped down the counter, the phone slipped from her hand, bouncing against the floor. It buzzed again with energy as she looked down to see a new message from Jake. "I'll be at your place in 20 minutes. Ready for some cookies?" The words gave her a jolt. 20 minutes? The world spun as she tried to steady her breath. Was she truly ready for this confrontation? A surge of panic gripped her. She glanced at Tommy, his innocence shining like a beacon. Was she willing to expose them both to the unknown, just for a cookie and a conversation? "Everything okay, Mommy?" Tommy's voice rose over the sound of her racing heart. "Yep. Just a little surprise," she said, forcing a smile. "Daddy's coming over." His eyes lit up. "Yay, we can have a cookie party." "Right, a cookie party." The words came out low as she processed the implications of what it meant. It wasn't just cookies. It was a bridge. A spongy surface she needed to cross to see what lay on the other side of their fractured family. Sarah took a moment to pause, letting the warmth of the kitchen embrace her. The smell of cookies wafted around them, mixing with the sweet sound of Tommy's laughter. Suddenly, the doorbell rang, slicing through the moment, pulling them back to reality. Her heart raced as she approached the door, each step feeling like a countdown. Tommy's excitement was palpable, and it lit a fire of courage within her. She opened the door to find Jake standing there, holding a box, a nervous smile playing on his lips. It was odd to see him again. His familiar features mingled with shadows of their past. "Hey." His voice crackled slightly, as if he didn't recognize his own words. "Hey," she replied, taking a breath. Could they navigate this? Could they reforge their connection over cookies and laughter? Tommy darted past her, tugging at Jake's hand. "Look at our cookies. We made T-Rex ones." Jake knelt down, his face lighting up in surprise. "No way! You guys are little bakers!" In that split second, time felt suspended, as if the world beyond them faded away. The past hung heavy, yet they were wrapped in this shared moment of joy, a small slice of healing amidst uncertainty. "Want to help us eat some?" Tommy giggled, pulling his dad's hand toward the kitchen. She watched as Jake's eyes softened, the tension melting like butter in a hot pan. But amidst the warmth, doubt flickered inside her, whispering that they were still pieces of a puzzle that didn't quite fit. "Sarah," Jake began, his voice steady yet uncertain. "Can we talk? About everything? About us?" Her heart began to race again at the opening he created. Suddenly, she was at a crossroads, one of many she faced recently, laced with hope and fear. The tension thickened in the air, and she realized this was just the beginning. Could their conversation lead to healing? And what if it opened a door to emotions she wasn't ready to confront? With a glance at Tommy, busy with cookies, she knew she had to make a choice. But the question remained, one that haunted her. Could they really put the pieces back together? As she stepped into the kitchen, ready to face the past, the weight of the moment settled deep. Would the talk bring them back together, or shatter the fragile peace they had found? With every heart-stopping breath, Sarah was pulled into the unknown. Sarah took a breath, steadying herself as Jake's gaze bore into hers. It felt as if time had wrapped around them, thick with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. Tommy, blissfully unaware, was busy stacking cookies into towers, his tiny hands working with the kind of dedication that only a child could muster. Sure, Sarah said finally, her voice a little shaky. Let's talk. As they settled into the small kitchen table, the smell of warm cookies surrounded them, a kind of comforting cocoon that temporarily eased her anxiety. Tommy, delighted by the setup, continued to chitter away about dinosaurs and cookie concoctions, infused with a sweetness that was pure and refreshing amid the adult complexities surfacing. Jake shifted in his seat, the box he had brought resting awkwardly between them. I've been thinking a lot about us, he said, the words tumbling out hesitantly. The flutter of hope inside Sarah was soon chased by a familiar wave of doubt. About what, exactly? She tried to keep her tone neutral, though her heart was pounding, desperate to hear something that could bridge the gap between them. About our family. About what went wrong. I want to fix it, he said, his eyes searching hers for an answer, for any sign of hope that might mirror his own. The air thickened as she considered his words. Saying she wanted the same felt like stepping onto a tightrope, something that could break beneath her at any moment. I'm not sure if fixing is possible, she replied softly, trying to mask the tremble in her voice. We can't just go back to how things were before. I don't want that, Jake insisted, his urgency rising. I want to move forward. We both messed up. I admit that. But I miss you. I miss Tommy. I want to be a better father. And husband. With each word, a part of her yearned for the connection they once had, but bitter memories also surged to the forefront. Angry words during arguments, the distance that stretched after the separation. What does better look like? She challenged gently, leaning into the conversation but maintaining her guard. Jake paused, visibly affected. I don't know yet, but I'm willing to figure it out. I want to try. Tommy burst into laughter, completely oblivious to the weight of the moment. Look, I made a T-Rex tower, he exclaimed, presenting his cookie creation like a trophy. The innocence of his joy pierced through the tension, softening the air between Sarah and Jake. As she watched her son, a smile tugged at Sarah's lips. Could this be a sign? Maybe there was a path, however wobbly, leading back to something beautiful. We need to take it slow, Jake. A lot has changed for both of us, she said, her heart fluttering with cautious hope. I know, he replied, his voice softer, filled with understanding. I'll respect that, but I need to be involved. I won't give up on us just yet. For a brief moment, Sarah felt the stirrings of excitement. The future still felt uncertain, but perhaps they could navigate it together. She glanced out the window, the sun setting and casting a warm golden glow across the yard, matching her unsteady optimism. However, just as the light seemed most inviting, a weight settled in her chest. Was it enough? Could they really rebuild something lasting? The past echoed in her mind, laced with both regret and yearning. Was it foolish to hope for a miracle? Tommy brought her thoughts back. Can we play outside now? He squealed. Laughter spilled from him, the kind of joy that could ignite sparks in the darkest heart. Sarah glanced at Jake, searching his face for a flicker of understanding, of a shared desire. Okay, let's head out, she decided, the need for lightness overpowering her doubts. For now. As they stepped out into the fading sunlight, a silence fell over them, one that was less uncomfortable and more like a pause before the next act. The world outside was alive, and so were they. Yet it lingered in the air. What would tomorrow bring? As the laughter of her son echoed through the evening, Sarah realized this could be a turning point. But with a deep breath, she understood that the real challenge lay ahead. Would their fragile hope hold? or would the weight of reality bring them crashing down again? And as they moved forward, stepping into the unknown, her heart wondered. What lay waiting just around the corner? As Sarah and Jake stepped into the yard, Tommy darted ahead, his little feet pounding on the grass as he prepped for a new adventure. Sunlight streamed down in golden patches, illuminating the scattered toys and colorful swings. A day that once felt so heavy now seemed alive with possibilities. "Let's play catch," Tommy shouted, spinning around with his arms wide open, his excitement infectious. Sarah couldn't help but chuckle at his energy. It felt so good to hear his laughter, like a tether to a happier time. "All right, you little light bulb, but only if you promise to pass it back to me and not just eat the ball," she teased, grabbing a soft red ball from the porch. Jake watched them, standing a few steps back, a hesitant smile spreading across his face. His heart swelled as he saw the bond between Sarah and Tommy. There was a flicker of something renewed in him, a longing to join in on their joy. When Sarah tossed the ball to Tommy, it sailed through the air, and he squealed in delight as he caught it. "Mom, you throw like a pro," he beamed, running back to them with sheer joy. "Just wait until the next throw," Sarah replied, smiling back at him. Jake took a step forward, and Sarah, while playfully focusing on Tommy's antics, felt his presence like a gentle warmth at her back. "Can I try?" he asked tentatively, extending his hand for the ball. Tommy's eyes lit up. "Yes, Daddy, you try." A little nervous, but determined, Jake received the ball from Sarah and regarded his son with a mix of excitement and seriousness. The stakes felt high. This was about more than just playing catch. It was about connection, about being present. With a deep breath, Jake threw the ball. It sailed through the air gracefully and landed right in front of Tommy, who jumped to catch it. Laughter erupted again, a sound that wrapped around all of them like a warm hug. As the game continued, Sarah felt the air change between them. Each laugh felt like a piece of some missing puzzle sliding into place. Not entirely right, but promising. There were no heavy topics between them right now, just laughter and a child's joy lighting the path ahead. When the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in stunning shades of pink and orange, Sarah caught Jake stealing glances at her, and her heart fluttered with an odd mix of nostalgia and hope. Would this day be a fleeting moment, or the start of a new chapter? But just as her heart began to settle into optimism, a rustling sound disrupted the space. They turned to see Mrs. Peterson, their neighbor, strolling towards them with a perplexed expression. "Excuse me, Sarah," she called, her voice laced with concern. "I just got your mail. You might want to read this." Mrs. Peterson handed Sarah a letter, and the moment she took it, she felt a chill run down her spine. It was official, something she had been trying to avoid. She glanced at Jake, whose smile faded as he read the expression on her face. "Is everything okay?" he asked, inching closer, noticing the worry etched deep in her eyes. Sarah opened the letter, her heart racing. The words jumped out at her, each one heavier than the last. Divorce papers, an impending finality that felt like a weight crashing down. She inhaled sharply, feeling dizzy as the world around her began to blur. "Mom?" Tommy's voice was small, breaking through the strange haze forming in her mind. "Sarah?" Jake stepped forward, his brow furrowing as he reached for her arm. Suddenly, Sarah felt herself sway, everything fading into darkness. It was a kaleidoscope of confusion. Joy from their earlier game, the anxiety from the letter, and flashes of warmth from their past, all swirling into one tight sensation. She fell, and in that moment, she wondered if this was just another end, or the beginning of something entirely new. What did the universe have planned for her now? As darkness took her, the looming question echoed. What would she awaken to next? Jake's voice pulled Sarah back from the abyss. It was murky at first, like her surroundings had clung to a veil of mist. She could hear him clearly, though, the urgency lacing every word. "Sarah, can you hear me?" As she blinked against the dull light, her head throbbed, panic racing back through her veins. The familiar smell of the grass mingled with the warm scent of Tommy's sweat and sunscreen. She felt the coolness of the ground against her cheeks and realized she was lying down. "Mommy!" Tommy's soft voice was close, but it filled with raw fear now. "Are you all right?" With effort, Sarah pushed the fog from her mind. As her surroundings came into focus, she saw Jake at her side, his face pale and lined with worry. "You scared us," he breathed, bending over her. "Just give her a minute," Mrs. Peterson advised, her own concern woven through her frown. "Give me a minute," Sarah whispered, shock rippling through her. She struggled to sit up, and Jake gently pulled her into a seated position. "I'm okay," she managed, though she felt anything but. The letter crumpled in her fist, an unwelcome reminder of everything she'd just been dealt. "Do you want to lie back down?" Jake asked, his brow still furrowed. Sarah shook her head, trying to process. "What happened? Did I faint?" It felt surreal, like a scene from a movie where the protagonist's life spins out in dizzying chaos. Almost laughable if it weren't so terrifying. "Yes, you did. You were holding the letter," Jake said gently, taking the crumpled paper from her trembling grip. "You looked... I thought you were in shock. I didn't..." She started, but the words slipped like grains of sand through her fingers. The press of the divorce papers loomed large in her mind. "Mommy, are you feeling okay?" Tommy chimed in again, his small hands gripping her arm. All the joy from moments before felt like distant echoes, replaced with pressing weight. "I'm fine, sweetheart," Sarah said, forcing a smile. "Just a bit tired." She felt Jake's unyielding gaze upon her. The concern he wore felt like a warm blanket that wrapped around her despite the gravity of the moment. Gradually, she stood, with Jake supporting her from the side. As she steadied herself, she glanced at Mrs. Peterson, who still stood watching them with soft concern. "Thank you," Sarah murmured, her voice small yet steady. "What was in the letter?" Jake asked, his voice low but resonant. The weight of that single question felt like a knot tightening further inside her. "Divorce papers," she whispered, looking down as if afraid to see his reaction. Jake's eyes darkened. It was an instant shift. Something snapped into focus. He hesitated, processing her words. "You really want this?" "Want it? No, but..." "Then don't," he interrupted, voice strained. "I can't just ignore it. I can't deny what's been happening," Sarah retorted, feeling fire bubble up inside her. She turned away, taking a breath to steady the whirlwind inside her. Tommy tugged at her shirt. "Can we play again, Mommy? Before it gets dark?" "Sure, in a bit," she answered, forcing herself to meet his hopeful eyes. "We just have to... sort some stuff first." In that moment, a jarring realization washed over her. She could hear echoes in her mind again. Laughter, joy, a feeling of hope against bleakness. How could she set a course forward when each step felt bogged down by the past? What did this all mean for her and Tommy? And Jake? As the weight of everything sank deep into her thoughts, she felt a kick ripple inside her stomach. The unfamiliar sensation brought her back to the present with a sudden jolt, a reminder that life, with its unexpected turns, was still moving forward. Was there hope waiting for her just on the other side of this confusion? Or would it be the final anchor dragging her beneath the waves? "Hey, are you okay?" Jake's voice cut through again, pulling her away from the churning thoughts. "Yeah, I'm... fine." But what kind of fine? The uncertainty rang even louder. "What do we do now?" he prompted, the weight of the unknown heavy in the air. The shadows were long, and the sky was turning a deep indigo above. Sarah felt the urge to step forward, but which path to choose? Unraveling this emotional storm felt daunting, yet she couldn't ignore the flicker of possibility glowing somewhere inside her. But would they emerge from this chaos together, or retreat to the safety of what once was? A flicker of movement caught her attention, and she turned back toward the swings. Who knew what awaited them there? And what did this new twist herald for them all? As Sarah looked again at the swings, a strange feeling flitted through her. The vibrant colors of the playground had once sparkled with the laughter of children, but now they felt muted, overshadowed by the heaviness clinging to her heart. Tommy ran ahead, his small legs pumping with unspent energy, heedless of her turmoil. She had to focus. She owed him that. Jake shifted beside her, casting glances between Tommy and Sarah, searching for clarity amid the confusion. "You really don't have to decide this all right now," he said softly. His voice was steady, but there was a tremor of concern. "We can talk about it later, when things settle down." But things weren't settling down. The chaos in her life only swirled more energetically, like a storm unwilling to pass. "Jake," she breathed, pulling away to look him in the eye. "I know we can't just avoid this. I've been avoiding it for too long. And it's hurting Tommy. It's hurting us all." "There has to be another way," he replied, almost pleading. "Divorce isn't the only option." His words struck her, digging further. Did she really want this? The answer felt elusive, tangled in a web of memories and emotions. Last summer they had been painting the house together, laughing as paint splattered everywhere. Now, their very foundation was crumbling, and all she could see were those pieces scattered around, sharp and painful. Tommy's giggles, light and innocent, sounded again, brightening the gloom. "Can you push me, Mommy?" he called out, eyes gleaming with pure joy. "Of course, honey." She forced a smile, brushing aside her doubts for the moment. The swings beckoned with their rhythmic sway, and she stepped forward, hoping to drown out the dark waves of uncertainty with her son's laughter. As she reached Tommy and set to pushing him gently, she couldn't help but feel a twinge of sadness mixed with hope. It was just a moment, the normalcy of mother and child. Yet that briefly quieted the storm brewing within. "Higher, Mommy!" Tommy squealed, and she pushed a little harder, watching as he soared higher, his small form silhouetted against the brightening sky. "Higher?" Sarah asked playfully, a hidden smile creeping onto her lips. "I thought we were only going as high as the clouds today." But Tommy just giggled louder, caught up in the magic of the moment. Jake stood nearby, arms crossed, lost in thought. Sarah's heart tugged at the sight. She felt her pulse quicken with each push, with every blissful laugh from her son. For a moment, she allowed herself to breathe, letting the weight of her worries drift away bit by bit. But underneath that joy, seeds of anxiety still sprouted in her mind. What if this was just a fleeting escape? What if her feelings returned to suffocate her later? After a few more pushes, they switched, and Tommy hopped off the swing, running back to her, cheeks flushed. "That was the best. Can we do it again?" "Of course, just let me catch my breath." Her laugh felt real, a twinkle of genuine amusement piercing through the haze of dread. Jake approached slowly, no longer the defensive figure, but a partner searching for clarity. "I know this is difficult," he began softly, "but it doesn't have to mean an end. We could try counseling, or take things one step at a time." Sarah paused, contemplating. Could they really find a way back, or was it just wishful thinking? She wanted to believe that love could conquer chaos, but visions of each painful conversation flooded her mind. And then, in a sudden flash, she felt that familiar kick inside her again. This time, it wasn't just a physical reminder of the baby's presence. It felt like a stirring of hope, another chance. "Maybe," she started, hesitating as the words danced at the tips of her fingers. But before she could finish, the faint sound of footsteps caught her attention. They both turned to see a figure lingering at the edge of the playground. Someone who made her heart race for entirely different reasons. Who would show up now? A familiar face or a ghost from her past? The air shifted dramatically, thickening with unspoken tension as they stood at the crossroads of the unknown. What was about to unfold? And would it push her closer to healing or further into turbulence? Sarah's heart raced as she focused on the figure stepping cautiously toward them. She could barely make out the face through the late afternoon sun, casting long shadows on the ground. A familiar silhouette. She squinted, trying to peel away the haze of her worries. And then recognition struck like lightning. Megan. "Hey, Sarah," Megan called, a mix of hesitance and warmth in her voice. It had been years since they'd been close, their lives diverging in ways that made the old friendship almost feel like a relic. Megan had once been Sarah's confidant, the person she shared everything with before life swept them into separate corners. Sarah felt Jake stiffen beside her, tension morphing into silent questions. The atmosphere thickened. "What are you doing here?" Sarah managed, forcing herself to sound welcoming despite the turmoil swirling inside. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd swing by." Megan's eyes darted around, landing on Tommy, who was now slightly skittish but intrigued. "It looks like you've got a little one to chase after." "Yeah," Sarah said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "This is Tommy." "Hey, buddy." Megan knelt down, waving energetically to him. "You look like you're having the best day ever. Can you push me on the swing?" Tommy bounced on his toes, eagerness written all over his face, oblivious to the tension unfolding around him. "Of course!" Megan brightened, though it was clear that Sarah's heart was still thudding in her chest. As Megan started to push Tommy, lost in innocent laughter again, Sarah shifted her focus back to Jake. Their unspoken conversation hung heavy, every syllable stuck in their throats. "Do you want to talk?" Jake asked softly, glancing between Sarah and Megan. "Right now?" "I think it would help," he replied, offering a reassuring smile. His eyes pleaded with her to open up, to share. Sarah swallowed hard and nodded slowly, feeling the weight of the choice. But before she could backtrack, Megan chimed in from across the playground. "Do you guys mind if I join? I can stay with Tommy. It's been ages since I've seen him." Every instinct told Sarah to refuse, to shield their fractured world from more complications. But something in Megan's eyes softened her resolve. Maybe having someone hear her out could ease the knot in her stomach. "Okay," she finally said, taking a deep breath. "Let's sit over there." They found a bench, a little away from the swings. As Sarah settled in next to Jake, the air felt charged, the weight of hidden feelings pressing against her like an invisible wall. Megan casually pushed the swings, keeping an eye on Tommy while still directing her attention back to them. "So, what's going on? You two seem like you're in deep water." Jake looked at Sarah first, a silent question passing between them. And then vulnerability broke through her walls. We're trying to figure things out." "Things with your marriage?" Megan's tone was gentle, her gaze steady. "Yeah," Sarah replied, the words slipping through clenched teeth. She tried to catch Jake's expression but found him staring at Tommy instead. "Sometimes," Megan began, her voice soft and steady, "it takes shaking things up to find the right path. Have you thought about what you really want?" The question hung in the air, sharp and pressing. Sarah felt that familiar kick within her, an urgent reminder of the life growing inside her. "I just want what's best for Tommy. And the baby," she managed, glancing sideways at Jake, wondering if he felt the same urgency. A moment hummed with possibility, yet Sarah still found herself drowning in uncertainty. They were standing at an emotional cliff, with each word having the power to either pull them back or take them over the edge. As Meg and Tommy laughed nearby, Sarah exhaled slowly, feeling the swirling chaos within her start to settle slightly. The presence of an old friend, however conflicted it made her feel, began to create a soft haven around them. But as tension faded momentarily, another figure appeared, this time hovering at the entrance of the playground. The moment of truth loomed, charging the atmosphere once more. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Could it be someone from the very past she tried to bury, with a revelation that could change everything? What would they say? And would it bring peace or ignite another storm? The playground was filled with laughter, but Sarah's heart raced as she took in the figure at the entrance. Could it really be him? Memories collided, the anger, the sorrow, and even the love they once shared. As the figure approached, she felt Tommy's hand slip into hers, anchoring her in the moment. "Mommy?" Tommy looked up at her, his innocent eyes filled with curiosity as he sensed her sudden stillness. "Who's that?" "Just someone I used to know," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. It was indeed Jacob, the man she hadn't seen since their paths had diverged. His presence pulled her back to a time when their dreams seemed limitless and the weight of life hadn't begun to crush their spirits. He looked different, older, perhaps, with a newfound maturity etched in his features, yet still carried the familiar spark she remembered. "Sarah," he called, stopping just outside the playground, unsure whether to approach. Her heart thudded. No turning back now. "What are you doing here?" she asked, a mix of frustration and confusion swelling within her. "I heard about what happened. I just wanted to see how you're doing," he replied, his tone steady but gentle. Jake's hands clenched beside her, the silent tension palpable. "See how she's doing? You saw her family fall apart." His voice rang with a protective edge. Sarah felt the temperature drop, like ice had suddenly gripped the warm summer day, but she held firm. "It's okay, Jake. Let him speak." The air was thick with unspoken words, emotions swirling and nodding like the vines of an old tree. "Thank you for letting me come," Jacob said softly, his eyes capturing hers as if they were the only two people in the park. "I really wasn't sure how to handle everything when I found out," Sarah replied, almost breathlessly. "It's all just so complicated right now." "Mommy, can we just play?" Tommy chimed in, dancing impatiently on the grass. "Can we do the dinosaur race?" "Yeah, buddy, just give us a second," Sarah encouraged, forcing a smile while feeling the weight of eyes on her. Megan stepped in, sensing the rising tension. "Why don't we let Tommy race first and you guys can talk?" The suggestion hung lightly in the air, so simple, yet so profound. Tommy's excitement lit up the atmosphere as he rushed for the starting line, shouting out rules in the most serious tone a 5-year-old could muster. As he took off, fueled with laughter and joy, Sarah watched him with awe. This was what she fought for, the innocence she needed to protect. Jacob turned toward Sarah, his voice low. "I'm sorry for how everything went down. I wanted to be there for you. And I wasn't. I'm really sorry." "I'm not looking for an apology," Sarah shot back, but her heart softened. It wasn't just about resentment. It was about understanding that life had pushed them into different directions. "I know. I don't deserve to ask for anything," he replied, his gaze unwavering. "But I want to be here if you'll let me." The sincerity in his voice sent ripples through her. The chaos in her life was suffocating, and yet, in that moment, she yearned for connection, for clarity among the mess. Could she give him another chance? "I don't know how to feel or what to think," she admitted, her voice trembling. "Everything is so fragile right now, and I can't afford to break what we're trying to rebuild." A brief silence hung between them, broken only by Tommy's enthusiastic cheers. "Mommy! Daddy! Look! I'm winning!" Sarah's heart swelled with mixed emotions. For all her doubts, the love she felt for her son was irrefutable. It broke through the fog, affirming that this was her focus, her family, even within the chaos. Jacob sighed deeply, brushing a hand through his hair. I'll be straight with you. I made mistakes. I want a second chance to figure things out. But not just for us. It's Tommy. And the new baby. Her heart quaked at the mention of the pregnancy, knowing it could bond them or sever ties altogether. This was another layer of complexity she hadn't planned for, one that could reshape everything. Please consider this, Jacob continued, earnest. I want to be supportive. I want to be involved in Tommy's life, and yours. Sarah searched his expression, seeking the truth behind the familiar eyes that were now colored with sincerity. Could she trust him again? Or was this merely a reflection of their past mistakes, bound to repeat themselves? As she attempted to process, Jake stepped forward, tension radiating from him. Look, she doesn't owe you anything. You left without a word. His voice was protective, but held something deeper, an underlying fear of loss. I understand. I wouldn't trust me either. Jacob shot back, the fight in his gaze clashing against Jake's resolve. But I'm trying to make things right, for Sarah, for Tommy, and now the baby. The distance between them felt tangible. Sarah realized they were all standing at their own crossroads, their pasts pulling them down different paths, while each one yearned for hope and connection. I need time, she said finally, her voice steadier. We all need time to figure out what comes next. Megan smiled gently, sensing the shift back to ease. Time can be a healer, you know. Why don't we make it a brighter day with loads of cookies and laughter? Free ice cream days down the block. Sarah couldn't help but chuckle, the juxtaposition of such a simple idea against their heavy conversation lightening the air. Tommy's face lit up. Ice cream? Yay. As if pulled by Tommy's unyielding joy, they gradually began to release the tension that held them hostage. I can help with ice cream, Megan offered, her eyes sparkling with a genuine warmth. I'll help too, Jacob said cautiously, still standing close enough to feel the pull of a moment that painted a vague outline of what their family could look like. Jake? Sarah turned toward him. Will you come with us? His expression shifted, surprise flickering across his face. Are you sure? Yeah, we all deserve a little laugh today, she replied, her heart lighter. The air buzzed with possibility, each step leading them closer to laughter and connection. As they made their way to the ice cream truck, Sarah stole a glance at Jacob before focusing ahead at Tommy, gleefully bouncing toward adventure. With each step, Sarah felt hope intertwine with uncertainty, mingling into a kaleidoscope of emotions. Perhaps this was the beginning of something she couldn't quite understand yet, but desperately wanted to explore. Life was unpredictable, but maybe that was the beauty they could embrace together. Their laughter painted the playground, weaving through the air with the dreams of what could be. A different path, full of hope, love, and maybe even forgiveness. And with that, together, they ventured forth, stepping into a future unknown but alive with possibility, sharing not just ice cream, but the ties that bound them through tales of joy, laughter, and redemption. Don't wait another second to join us for more inspiring stories. You need to subscribe now so you won't miss what's coming next. Leave a like now to help us grow this community. Comment below with your thoughts about their journey. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's spread the inspiration.